guys, welcome back to the Inside Texas channel. We're here for another live show. Got Evan and Nash with me again. It's our What You Got to Know about everything Texas versus Arkansas. So thanks for tuning in with us. And real quick, guys, before we get to it, go ahead and hop over to InsideTexas.com. See the promotion right there, $1 will get you a subscription. Go check it out. You can see the fine works of Mr. Evan and Nash over on Inside Texas, as well as a lot of other fun things. A couple weeks left in the season. Appreciate our guy CB being there. Sorry, let's get that off the screen. Appreciate you being here, Mr. Bennett, as always. No Desmond Howard. Try to get him on. He turned me down. Shame, because I would love to hear what he has to say in rebuttal to Steve Sarkisian's comments. But obviously, joined, as we mentioned, by Evan and Nash. Gentlemen, y'all doing all right?
Yeah, doing good.
Like, honestly, though, are we doing all right? Are we all okay?
It looks like Nash had a joke lined up, so I was waiting for that.
I mean, I'm doing perfectly fine. Steve Sarkisian, my head coach. I got confidence. I'm doing beautiful, baby.
Well, that makes some of us. I've been down, man. And again, coming off of sickness, but it's just so much going on right now. It is refreshing to see Sark's comments over the last couple of days for sure. Glad to see that. Definitely kind of feel that it's just all a bunch of clickbait, all of national media. We know how this goes, and part of me wonders, it's like, yeah, he referenced it, talking about it being used in recruiting against him in Texas. What's to say that it wasn't fabricated but informed, by another coaching staff? You know what I mean? Like, and hey, in this industry, game is kind of game. Recruiting gets a lot dirtier than making up a false rumor about a coach going to the NFL. I promise you that. So, I guess since it was brought up kind of by Chris, y'all have any comments on Sark's press conferences over the last couple of days? And to me, it seems pretty adamant that Texas is home for him.
Yeah, Chris just said it, but Kirk Bowles, who's a longtime Austin, Texas Longhorn media member, he said this, and I completely agree. Like, when he came on, those Wednesday press conferences we have are just these SEC media pressers where 4 questions in, 10 total minutes. One question is always reserved for one guy who's just from a random place in Arkansas. A lot of people from just random places in the SEC that are kind of just asking cupcake questions. But Sark comes on there and immediately goes, hey, like, this is what I want to say, because we've been false reported twice now, and maybe I don't know where Diana Rossini got her stuff. Probably a friend of a friend who knows of something with Sark, but like the Desmond Howard stuff was just blatantly bad. Like, it's just bad journalism from him, and I'm glad Sarkisian kind of stepped up and said, hey, like, this is not right. That's not how you should be reporting things. And then today I was actually having technical difficulties during that presser, but he was really, like, he talked about recruiting, talked about like problems with man coverage and how to actually address what the team's strengths are. It was just much more transparent than we're used to from Sark. Him actually kind of accepting things about that aren't quite good about this team, which he's kind of skirted around, especially the run game. That he hasn't really said like this is a problem. He's more than like, yeah, we're still confident, but so yeah, I completely agree with Kirk and what Chris said, and I think Sark's done a good job addressing the media the past week.
Oh, well said. How about you, Nash? Any thoughts?
I mean, I definitely think that there's at least I would go with what you said kind of at the end of your opening statement on this report is it feels like there's a coaching staff out there that has a rumor going around, like they're successfully spreading a rumor that Steve Sarkisian is looking at the NFL, because I mean, when you have Diana Rossini doing it a few weeks back, right? One, you could be like, okay, well, you're hearing something from somebody else, right? Steve Sarkisian shuts it down. But then to have Desmond Howard do it as well, right? That means multiple people are hearing it from multiple places. And I'm not saying that there's legitimacy to the rumor, right? Because rumors are rumors. There's going to be rumors about everything that goes on in this world, on this earth. But to add on to what Evan said, I'm just the unprofessionalism of Desmond Howard and doing that reporting. You got like, if you're Desmond Howard, you have to have better awareness that, hey, I'm a college game day host, right? Whether I'm just like screwing around for likes on the internet or whatever the hell it is, right? Like, I need to realize that people are going to see this as a game day host as saying, hey, I'm hearing these things. And when you're talking about a job at the University of Texas, this is a top 5 job in college football. That's going to, whatever, like, if you drop that, you're not You're not dropping something that you don't think is going to blow up. Like you're dropping some chaos into the college football world when you drop that little video.
He forced Sark's hand for sure. It's maybe Sark was going to say something, but man, you definitely have to address what was said by Desmond. And even though he didn't do it directly, he pretty much did it directly. And so, yeah, I mean, something had to be said there. Who didn't have a little bit of pause after everything that was going on? And then you see that report and you're like, oh my God, okay. Well, then, yeah, so Sark has to say something. I do agree with you guys. I think Sark said it best. I mean, he handled it perfectly. You're going to weaponize stuff like that on the recruiting trail. That's just how it is. So it's like, do I hate some staff that maybe fabricated this rumor? That's just part of it, and a lot worse goes on. So it is what it is.
He might have done something like that once.
Oh yeah, you've heard some
stories. I hear that coach is on his way out.
Yeah, absolutely.
A big thing also with this Texas team is, especially the 26 and 25 classes, are so built on out-of-state talent that, yeah, like if I'm a coach at Miami or Florida, well, there's no coach at Florida right now. If I'm Mario Cristobal or I'm, Kirby Smart, and I'm hearing this, even if I'm not the one making the thing, yeah, I'm gonna go and talk to agents. Like Joe made a point when we went on live today. Like it's probably not these guys are actually going and DMing players and texting and saying, "Hey man, like we heard Sark's going out of town, time to come on over to the Bulldogs or whatever." But yeah, like they have contact with their agents, and Texas primarily recruits out of state. They don't only get these in-state Texas guys. So these families that are thousands of miles away from their kid or need to get on 3+ hour flights, like they hear these rumors. It's really damaging to how they feel about Sarkisian and the Texas team and causes transfers. So that's why it was so important for Sark to really step up and say, hey, this is how it is. This is not true. I'm here for the Longhorns. I'm 100% committed, because it could have bit him in the back if he didn't actually make that public statement and parents and agents didn't feel good about him staying at Texas.
Well, and to that point, this is one of the reasons why I feel so confident that like this isn't that those reports are just completely BS, and that Steve Sarkisian actually, because in the world of like Ian Boyd put out the tweet saying Tom Herman, right, saying basically referencing the Chris O'Connie vote of confidence that came out in December, the little statement that says nothing. But to this, I think that when you're looking at this, you can look at the recruiting trail and the impact of what this would have on the recruiting trail. And to me, I mean, there's only one way that you go out there and you counter that is you go out there and you have a fierce statement like Steve Sarkisian did. He's both times that this has happened, he's flying from the seat of his pants. I mean, he's very, very clearly agitated and upset that this stuff is flying around. I think that you can draw from that. You can say, hey, this is a guy that still obviously cares about recruiting. And if he was headed to the NFL, he wouldn't care. He'd say, he'd put out some just fluff statement, right? Because he doesn't have parents to go sue, right? He's not telling parents, like, I'm not going anywhere, right? Now he can say, hey, I'm screaming at these guys, right? I'm doing everything I can to show people that I'm still at the University of Texas and I still want to be here. So to me, I think this is him more or less speaking to the parents, and with that, you can draw away that he's staying at the University of Texas, likely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not just worrying about the 2026 recruiting class; it's worrying about the 2027 and make the inroads that you've made with out-of-state recruits, as Evan just said. It's about re-recruiting your own guys. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, something had to be said. Again, I think you said it very, very well. That's not the point of this show, but I feel like it was necessary that we did touch on it a little bit, at least us three. I know it's probably been touched on a little bit, as Evan said, on IT here before. But all right, guys, Arkansas comes to town. One of my favorite, honestly, rivalries of Texas's. I was taught growing up that Arkansas mattered a lot more than A&M. I had a dad that did not care for Arkansas. He owned a restaurant. In the very bottom of the restaurant, he had two license plates were turned upside down. So he had all license plates on the wall, and it was Oklahoma and Arkansas. And I learned about how much, how much Arkansas has a disdain for Texas and this and that. I made one trip to Fayetteville. I can confirm the hatred is very, very real. A lot of people will confirm. They all know that. A lot remember and took that trip to Fayetteville in 2021 and then again last year. But when you see this rivalry, both of you guys a little bit younger than me. I wish it was just a little bit, significantly younger than me. What are your thoughts on this rivalry and kind of where it stands on a national standpoint?
Yeah, I'm just not like, I was never someone who heard much about the Texas Arkansas. I didn't grow up a Texas fan or anything, so I come here and I know about OU and A&M. But I do remember my freshman year, that game against Arkansas, coming in all giddy about Longhorn football, and I go, man, this is terrible. Like, we just got embarrassed. So yeah, I mean, I do think there's a lot of bad blood in Arkansas for Texas, probably more than there is in Austin. But like, I would like to. I'm such a big fan of rivalries and culture football. I'd like for it to be a game that Texas fans get up for. So, I've got a buddy or two that are still in college, and they've told me that it was pretty easy to get a student ticket to this game. So, not looking forward to how the crowd's going to be on Saturday, especially like right before kick. There's going to be some screenshots online, but I'm hoping the fans get up for it. Like, this is a real rivalry. Arkansas cares a lot. Texas should, in a way, especially with how the season's going. They need to win this. So we'll see how the fans do for this game.
I'm a little bit nervous as well. What do you think, Nash?
I mean, sitting here saying are the fans going to be getting up for it? Look, I'm sorry to the 60-year-olds and 50-year-olds watching. Like, I know you're yelling at your computer screen right now at Evan, but like us young people, we just really we don't have that same level of hate that, like, so Cord, obviously you grew up with it a little. It was ingrained into you. Like, it was taught. You're taught to hate them. I think, man, like, this is just one of those games that I think we're going to quickly learn to hate these people, right? Like, the Arkansas fans, they are not worried at all about having any good thought, having Texas fans, thinking any good thoughts about them. I think back to the like, there's no filter, right? Normally, like, when you're at a game, right, there'll be some crap talking between fans, and if there's a group, like, they'll see like a kid's around, like, or like a 13-year-old, they'll tone it down, right?
Right.
Arkansas fans, no. Like, I remember we had Robert Mendoza on, Ethan Mendoza's dad, after the baseball game, and he's just like, I mean, I got my 13-year-old right next to me. The things that they're saying, it's like he learned really quickly that, yes, these people do not like Texas, and I think that when we get that enough, when we get treated like that enough, we're gonna, the feeling is gonna be reciprocated. But yeah, I think we'll quickly learn that we need to hate these people as much as they hate us. But yeah, right now it's not there.
Man, I need the people that are like yourself, Nash, and I know that you will be cheering, but like the people that are at DK all the time, they're at DKR all the time. It's for like people like Michelle. It's for the kids that haven't been there. Like, get your ass up and be a difference maker in the crowd. Michelle, you got to get the people around you to cheer if they're not. You got. I'm that person. I am like, guys, hey,
stand on your bleacher.
You paid money to be here. Team needs you. You don't think they need you, but they need you. Like, they need everybody. Like, make it a difficult place to play. So get up. Glad you're going, Michelle. That'll be a lot of fun. But the kids are killing this country. Y'all gotta get your Arkansas hate up a little bit.
Hate
me,
everyone.
I will say just hate everyone. I will say one of my favorite college players of all time hails from old Arkansas. Darren McFadden was so funny. You young kids, you weren't around. You probably have no clue who that even is. But no, in all seriousness, that dude was a lot of fun to watch. I loved the Felix Jones, Darren McFadden backfield, the offenses that Arkansas ran. I didn't like Brett. Sorry, not Brett Bielema. I didn't like Houston Nutt flashing the double horns down the Cotton Bowl. I was like 12 years old, fuming at the mouth. I was like, nobody flashes the double horns down. He did just shut us out like 27-0. So, I mean, like, he kind of earned the right. But yeah, funny story. I ran into Cedric Cobb. Anybody remember that name? He played running back for Arkansas when they came into Austin and DKR and beat us as a double-digit underdog when they had Matt Jones at quarterback and Houston Nutt against 2003. Chance Mock was quarterback. Or started the season as quarterback. But I ran into him at a bar and he saw me in Bird Orange and he was just like locked in. I mean, like dead red, locked in. And I was like, hey man, like, I don't know what I did, but it was like a bull saw red. And so I had to just like ask him, I was like, hey man, are like, we good? Cause you could kill me, one swing, I'm done. And, he was just like, man, I'm be honest, I don't really like Texas people, man. He was like, I straight up, like, I don't like Texas people. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. I was like, you from Arkansas? He was like, oh, I played there, I was like, oh, who are you? He's like, oh, I'm Cedric Cobb. And I was like, holy shit, dude, you were awesome against us. Like, you were fun to watch. I hated how fun you were to watch. But that just, to me, kind of showed, like, man, like, they hate they hate Texas. Like that, to me, we are their biggest rival. I don't know if you guys feel that, but so yeah, you got to match that energy. You got to show up. Crowd's got to be there. But from an emotional standpoint, the team's got to do their part. You got to step back up after a tough performance in Athens and before undefeated Texas A&M comes home. It's a tough spot as far as when this game is. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit more here in just a second, preview a little bit more of the game. But first, we're going to go to our first sponsor of the night, Miss Laura Baker.
If you're looking for a home in the Austin area, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. Laura's a part of the elite Andy Allen team at Keller Williams Realty. She's helped Longhorns find their dream homes all over Central Texas. You can just ask our very own Ian Boyd, who moved from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Whether you're searching in Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown, San Marcos, or even parts of the 254 or the 210, Laura has you covered. So call 512-784-0505, or you can email her at laura@andyallenteam.com. She's a Longhorn, a friend of Inside Texas, and the person you need to call to get your next home in Central Texas. Call Laura Baker today. Contact info is in the description.
All right, guys. So, yeah, I mean, like, what do y'all expect to see out of this team? I guess really I'm asking, do you expect any flatness, if you will, considering, the playoff hopes aren't technically shot. We're pretty dang close. You could technically, theoretically win out and still not get in. But is that an issue for you guys? The team just coming out flat, starting slow, maybe falling behind? Because in my opinion, if we lose this game, it's probably Arkansas jumping out early and then just holding on for dear life.
Yeah, this would be the one that is the first real flat game of the last 3 years for Sark, because he even said, some of the players, I think Eric reported this, some of the players were a little flat because they felt like they were out of the playoff race, and suddenly it feels like a lost year for some of these seniors and these older players. I know they're on the NFL, but I don't think this is going to be that game. I know Sark was saying they're really hyping up that this is a rivalry game, which I hope does it's what it feels like on Saturday, because if the crowd's not going to be fully there, then the players are going to have to get it for themselves in this game. And if it's one of those two drives and you're down 7-0 and your offense has 15 total yards, I'm going to be really scared for how that game can go. But I did say in our round table, which will come out on or tomorrow, I think that this does feel like one of those games where Texas can surprisingly run the ball well. The random Trey Weiser gets 130 after getting 25 the week before. I do think that Sark's going to really try to kind of bully ball their way through this game to hopefully make a fast start from Arkansas impossible. But I'm a little concerned, like you said, Court, about that. Just hey, we're out of the playoffs. Some guys are thinking further away than just Arkansas, whether it be A&M or the NFL or even the portal. So I'm concerned that that's going to play a factor. Yeah.
Sorry, I muted myself and couldn't get it off. I will say this: it's hard not to be worried about that, just because Arkansas, for one, is explosive. You know what I mean? And so, there's some teams you come out flat against. Maybe a Kentucky. Probably about the biggest hole you'll find yourself in. It's like a 10-point hole in that game throughout this entire. Arkansas can score the football. But how about you, Nash? You have any concerns with them coming out emotionally flat and just maybe undisciplined? Because we've seen Texas come out focused but still be undisciplined.
To me, this feels like the first time our culture has been really tested since the Baylor game in 2022, where it's kind of almost is there anything to play for? No, right? Pride is on the line at this point. Like you said, are we completely dead? No, but Texas they're on the mat, we're on life support, right? That's where the playoff hopes are. We need a lot of losses happen. We need a lot of 3-loss teams to where it's hey, Texas got the best 3-loss team available, right? That's the point. That's the area that we're at in the playoff hopes. But when you get to there, man, to that point, the season's not dead, but it's alive, right? How do you go out there? Do you go out there where you can't control anything, and do you still have the same level of same level that you always go out there, same level of intensity? Are you going out there? Are you playing hard? Are you playing fast? Right? All these things that Steve Sarkisian preaches. And if we do that, look, this is you still have a chance technically. That's how I want our players. I kind of like how Steve Sarkisian said it. Like I didn't even talk to him about the playoff thing. Right, we're focused on going 1-0 every week, just win the game that's in front of you. Because I do think we do kind of get into this. We want things immediately, and we're more impatient for things, and that's where I think that just going 1-0, right, getting through the season, especially when you're up to this point. That's one of these things where Texas, they could benefit themselves if they just go out there and play hard football the rest of the way. But like you said, I mean, this is an Arkansas team that if they don't show up motivated, man, this Arkansas team they could just steamroll right over you. They are they're one of the top offenses in the country, but they give away the ball a lot. So this is a game that I want to see I want to see our defense out there playing intense, motivated football, because Arkansas will give you the football if you try to take it away. And it's one of those deals where if we go out there and we have the right level of intensity, I'm very confident in our ability to go out there.
If we could trade one turnover for every 2 explosives Arkansas has, like, you guarantee a victory. They're going to create some explosive plays. Texas is going to have to create some. Yeah, like other teams have done against Arkansas, as you just said. And for people that are like, why are you talking about like the emotional bounce back? It's part of it, man. Like it really, really is. Yeah, these kids are getting paid a lot, but when you have a big game like Georgia that you just got up for, a team kind of flatlines in the fourth quarter, coaching staff kind of flatlines in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's a downer. The players feel it too. They hear things. I'm sure some of them read things. So that's why it has to be asked. It has to be discussed. And Texas has a very easy game to get up for next week. And for any of you guys who picked up a ball in your life, that every single week is you can't get up to the same emotional level or focus level with sometimes as you can for the really big games. And so got to step up. You got to have a good plan. It starts at the top. You really, really got to have a good plan. Sark's got to be on it. PK's got to be on it. But, before we get into what Texas can do to really affect this Arkansas team, let's talk about what makes Arkansas explosive. Nash, let's give it to you first, man. When you see this Arkansas team, obviously everybody talks about Bobby P and Taylon Green. But what else do you see, brother?
I mean, you take away Taylon Green, it's not too much to talk about. I know you said take away with that Taylon Green, but man, Taylon Green, to me, he's the thing that opens up everything in this offense. He is just such a dynamic athlete. That's where I'm blanking on the running back's name for Arkansas right now.
Mike Washington.
Washington, yeah. I mean, technically he has more rushing yards than Green, but I mean that only happens because Taylon Green's 4 yards behind him, right? Taylon Green opens up so much for this offense. So if you can actually go out there and you can shut Taylon Green down, I mean, man, that's where you actually have a legit chance to shut down some of these explosive plays. But I mean, Taylon Green, I thought this before. It's so crazy, the level of team that he's on, because he really is one of the best quarterbacks in the FBS, and he's been one of the best quarterbacks over the last couple of years. He's just such a special player, right? The ability to avoid tackles in the back, avoid defenders in the backfield, just always stays alive. He has an arm. The only thing that you could gripe about is he's too nonchalant with the football all the time, right? He'll fumble the ball and he'll throw a lot of interceptions. So, but man, I really, to me, when you're looking at this Arkansas team, it all starts and it all hinges around Taylon Green. Outside of that, I mean, I think a lot of the passing production that they've had is because teams are so worried about trying to stop Taylon Green in the rush that they end up leaving some explosives available.
Well, because you have to do that, man, because like you just said, he's as explosive as anybody with a football in his hands in the open field. He's a big, dynamic athlete, makes people miss.
It's like Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it's got really good one-cut ability. He always is running to space, but getting up the field. Doesn't really do a lot of dancing. He can stiff arm a guy, and then you like you said, he makes everybody around him look a lot better than they are. And I'm not knocking Arkansas's, skill position groups. but it's just when you play, like, I mean, Vince Young made people around him better, just because you are going to play in more space. Mike Washington is going to run in bigger lanes with, lighter boxes at times because of Taylor Green. What's his name? Omega Blake, which is a great name. Omega Blake, Cohen Jones, the tight end, Rowan Jones, the tight end, Braylon Sharp, I believe. Like, these guys all have explosive big playability, but it's because teams do have to worry and defend and scheme for Taylor Green. What do you think about this Arkansas offense, Evan?
Yeah, they built their offense the way that you expect a low-tier SEC team or one of those mid-tier Big 12, ACC, Big 10s to do, where it's a quarterback who you can really rely on, a really good running game, because guess what, Sark, and whoever you want to blame otherwise, Brandon Harris, it's really easy to find running back production in that G5 level. There's a lot of dudes you can just kind of plug in and throw them in, which is a whole other conversation. But they've got two really big bruising running backs who kind of set the floor of the offense. Them and Taylor Green make it really easy to run the ball. And then you've got one of those receiving cores where everyone's either 5'8" in Braylon Sharp or FCS or low-tier FBS transfers. I think O''Mega was a Charlotte transfer. Rowan Jones was a player in Maine and Montana State. But he's got like 31 yards per catch. And that's the kind of stuff that really scares me, because Texas is Georgia's tight ends were dominant. And they were running up the seams. Texas is terrible against seam plays. It's almost like you just got to throw the guy there to stop it, but then obviously something else gets covered up. They just really struggle on those 15 yards right at the hashes type of throws, and that's exactly what a Rowan Jones can cook you for, 2 catches for 60, or Omega Blake. The guy's like 6'3". He's going to be a big body there. That's going to test the Gilbos and the Phillips on Texas's team. So all that is separate from Taylor Green, and then you've got Green, who's probably a top 5 quarterback in the SEC. I mean, after Simpson and Stockton, and
easily
probably put Aguilar there in the top 5. Like, he's right there. So that's where it's concerning. Is like, yeah, they can score on anyone. They can score in bunches. All their games are within 3 points. They do well against good teams. They do well against bad teams on offense. It's just obviously the defense has all the question marks for this team. But they've just got those scrappy portal guys that you hate to go against, because one of them is going to have a good game. You don't really know who it's going to be, and then you're going to go, how is this guy doing it? But one does it every game, and that's how they win games. But I guess they're 2-8, so not quite. You know what I'm trying to say. And
I will say, like you said, they're scrappy. They fight. They don't quit. They play tight ball games. I'm saying all this. They looked pretty lifeless last week. And that is something that only worries me more, because I know that Bobby P wants that job. I know that he's going to sit there and have them riled up because it's Texas. And yeah, I'm not sitting here saying, oh yeah, big bad Tech. Arkansas hates us, and he will have them riled up. Taylor Green last year, we got a very watered down version of Taylor. He had many nagging injuries, if I remember correctly, leading up into the last portion, not just our game, but in the last third of that season, he was banged up but able to play. He's going to be healthier this go around, it seems, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I do think he's a top 5 quarterback. I don't think I'd put him above Aguilar, though, strictly because Aguilar is going to throw picks himself, but I think he takes care of the football a little better than Taylor does. And is a little bit better of a passer overall, sees the field a little bit better, makes a little bit, more big boy throws, if you will. But I love watching Taylor, and that's a guy that I'd probably draft first, just because, he's got some physical traits that, that not many others have. So
you can't teach the stuff that he has, man.
No.
You know what you can teach? You can teach him to stop throwing football into defensive cover.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and they're going to live and die with it, because they're still going to push the ball down the field. They're still aggressive in the passing game. You look at all these receivers, and it feels like they have 5 or 6 guys that average double digits, per catch. And like you just mentioned, Evan, you got is it Jones? That's like 30. There's a 31.
Well, yeah, Rohan Jones. He's 15.1 yards per average at the target. So he's just chunking downfield, baby.
You don't do that,
by the way.
You don't do that just running quarterback power, quarterback stretch. Mike Washington on the inside, and then throwing a lot of screens. Like, they're going to push the ball down the field. They're probably going to challenge us on the on the hash marks, down the seams. So hey, do we stop it? Again, they're going to get some explosive plays just because they are good at what they do. But on the flip side, it's the defense that struggles. It's the defense that struggles a lot. and we'll get into what maybe Texas can do on our end, take advantage of a defense from Arkansas that's given up a lot of yards and a lot of points. But first, we're going to hear from the second sponsor of the night, Mr. David McClellan.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
There you go. So if Texas isn't able to run the ball in this game, fans are going to be really frustrated. If you've taken a look at any of Arkansas's box scores throughout the season, it does feel like a game, as Evan mentioned, that Trey might go off for 120, 130, 140. As a team, what type of – I'm trying to see 200, 220 yards. Like, it's time to make a statement. It's time to kick some butt on the ground a little bit. Again, you take it in the air if it's there, because that's what we kind of had to do. But, yeah, how do you think you see Texas attacking this Arkansas team who's given up a lot, whether it be through the air or on the ground?
Okay, there's kind of 2 points to my take that I'm going to make here. One, Texas does need to just beat Arkansas. They have to win this game no matter what. Rivalry, a lot of just politics of the whole game and the season about it. But they also do kind of need to know what they have in their team going forward. So I would like to see a little bit more of a diet of your CJ Baxter and maybe even your 3 or 4 guy, whether that's Clark or Gibson, or excuse me, not Gibson, Clark or Simon there as your running back 3, whichever one you prefer. Like, which one of these guys can actually make a difference in a game for next year? Because Longhorns need to kind of figure out their skill positions going into the offseason. So this is one where maybe you give a few more receivers a little bit of run, let a little bit of shuffling happen. Again, they need to be able to beat Arkansas, but I do want Texas to learn a little bit about themselves in a game like this, because this should be a defense they just walk over. Now, if it's 2 drives in, we're at 0, different story. But if Texas can get 14 points in the first 2 drives, or even 10 is probably more aspirational realistically, then maybe I'd like to see a little bit of a run game with different guys there and having people that you're hoping to play next year get a little bit of a shot. So then you can maybe even see for A&M, like, does Baxter have any juice left in him? Because right now the answer is no from what we've seen the past 2 weeks. Is there any juice from Clark and Simon? I'd like to see them have at least 1 carry between the 2. But I don't know. I think Sark might just play it safe and just get out of this game with the win, then go to A&M. But I'd like some self-scouting on the field instead of just in practice.
Yeah, that's a fair
y'all are
take.
going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I know I am, but I'm just got to throw it out there.
You know, you can probably go ahead and paint it out. You know, you're probably going to see a healthy diet of screens. We'll probably – I'm not going to do this. I was going to sit there and say we're going to sit there and be inefficient. No, I want to see Texas work towards a plan to beating a good Texas A&M team, because I think A&M is going to score some points on us, just keeping it real. I think that offense is good enough. We might turn them over a couple of times, but they're still, like Arkansas, going to hit on some explosive plays. But overall, they have a better offensive line, probably a little bit better of a passing attack. Now, I need to see it, Nash. I don't care. I need to see the ground attack. I need to see something on the ground, something that can show, hey, we are going to try to form an identity. Even if it's just for 4 quarters and 60 minutes, it doesn't have. I mean, we're cooked for the season as far as forming an identity. It's a little too late, but I thought we ran the ball way too well early in that game to just turn our backs on it, not go back to it whatsoever. We're going to be able to pick up yards on the ground with Arkansas. And I want to see what Arch and these receivers look like when teams are having to stack the box a little bit just to stop this Texas offense, because we dang sure haven't seen that. But Nash, How do we go about it? Because you said we'll be wrong. Is it going to be all through the air? We're spreading them out, air raiding things I wanted to happen after Ohio State.
Look, I'm just looking at it from the perspective of I'm not expecting a lot just because this is a weak Arkansas team. I kind of wrote this on the IT roundtable. How many times, whether it comes down to pass blocking or run blocking, have we been like, oh, this is finally the week. This is finally the week. We're paying Georgia. They're not a good defense this year. They're not a good defense this year. Here comes the 1985 Bears, right? Mississippi State has a lower ranked run defense than Arkansas does. We had 72 yards rushing versus Mississippi State. So as far as expecting a running game, I'm not going to. I also do. I'm kind of. I'll have to come back and touch back on this. I disagree that we ran because you had that -8 yard run with Trey Wisner right before, and then the drive that we actually scored on, ironically, was all pass plays versus Georgia. So it's one of these deals where I just think that like Steve Sarkisian's kind of run into a point where, hey, and I think he's realized this is what like part of it is we are down, right? But part of it is also kind of I'm not just going to run my head into the wall and keep on expecting a different result. The only games that we've had over 200 rushing yards in are Sam Houston State. That's just a different level of body than what you see in the SEC and other higher conferences, even Power 5 conferences. I'm not going to expect anything on the ground game, and I just think that I don't think we have the bodies up front in the trench game to get. Game is won and lost in the trenches, and we lost the run game in the trenches before the season even started. So it's just one of these deals where I think that we're going to have to win the game passing the ball. Hey, Evan, if we do get a big Trey Wisner run, I will happily put on a clown
jumping
nose.
Off your feet.
I'll put on the clown nose. I'll say I'm sorry, Trey Wisner. I doubted you just like I did versus Oklahoma. And then that's the other thing is like Oklahoma's the best rushing defense we faced all year, and that's probably the best running game that we've had all year. So it's like none of these things make sense, right? We play bad versus bad opponents. Maybe it is we're playing up and down to the level of opponents, but I can't say that versus Georgia. So I don't know. As far as expecting a rushing attack, I think I've had too much PTSD from this year to have that happen.
They got to find a way to slow the game down, though. Like there has to be some kind of way they can do it if it's not going to be rushing them, short passing screens, whatever. But that has to be part of the game plan.
Yeah, I mean you've got to set yourself up for better third down success. Yeah, we've been inefficient, but we're also really terrible, or have been pretty terrible on first and second down. So that big difference in playing from 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Just very very big difference. I'll say this: Sark seems to have Brent's number a little bit as far as we're really good the last couple of years at attacking Oklahoma on the edge. Oklahoma is so aggressive with their front seven and with their defensive line as far as stunts, slants, twists, all those. And we seem to be pretty good at catching them. And then again, I'm being honest, we were just a lot more physical than Oklahoma was that day, which if you go back and watch that game, OU was a little bit soft on their front on defense at times in that game. And it wasn't everybody on every rep, but there were some moments that kind of surprised me, some big money downs where Texas kind of bullied them a little bit. But
Wisner had some dog runs in that game where it's just like, hey, like we need you to be a dog right here and breaking tackles, just finding a way to get through. We got to have that.
I'm just saying we stick with the run enough, and we're doing it the right way, not lining up in 12 personnel, still doing it in some screen, some split zone, letting Arch, who should be, he's passed concussion protocol obviously a couple of weeks now. Like he should be okay. I'd implement him a little bit in the ground game. Do whatever you have to do to set yourself up better on third downs. Like we're at the point where it's like, okay, when you play some of these decent defenses, which Arkansas is not, for me, it's like whatever we have to do to get like 3rd and 4. Like just because we make first down look so hard, but again, we're pretty good at creating penalties against ourselves. Pre-snap penalties have been a thing. or a thing on the road. We have not looked very. I love to tweet about how good we've been at home over on the road the last couple of seasons. Like I've gone and bookmarked some. I don't remember what group it was, but back in October of 2022, after we lost Oklahoma State in Stillwater and the Quinn Ewers fingernail game, they made a tweet about how Texas hadn't won a true road game against a Power 5 opponent under Sarkisian, and so when Texas was like winning their 7th in a row, 8th in a row, and they've beaten 3 or 4 ranked teams in this span, I was having some fun on Twitter with them, and now I've got nothing because man, we do not look very good on the road whatsoever. Georgia, man. I mean, that definitely is a measuring stick for anybody's ground game. Also, obviously, for your team and where you're at in the SEC and on a national standpoint, but a little bit surprised that we abandoned the run, but at the same time, I get Nash's perspective of beating your head into a wall. If it's not there, it's not there. But this is a bad defense. I see Texas moving the ball, basically doing whatever they want to do, as long as we're, one, not shooting ourselves in the foot, and two, we're just you're doing your job. You're lining up. You're being physical. Like we know we're kind of weak at the point of attack. It is what it is. But Sark has to be a schemer here. Scheme up some yards, help out Arch, take a little pressure off him in this receiving core. I feel like as an O lineman, it'd be a lot more fun. Look how skinny I am. I'm not an O lineman, but it'd be a lot more fun to run block than pass block. You know what I mean? You're
hit somebody.
You're doing the hunting. You know what I mean? And so, again, you got to be able to run the football in this league. Any elite college football team, you're able to run the football. Steve Sarkisian's 2020 Bama squad. Yes, that quarterback, Mac Jones, and those receivers get a lot of credit. They should. Still a team that was able to run the football basically whenever they wanted to do so. So, yeah, we might not have the cats like Nash said. I think everybody realizes it is what it is at this point. But run the damn ball, please. Give me something here. I need
it's
some.
just when you're talking about the Georgia game in specifically, we ran ball for 4.4 yards per carry first quarter, 8 carries. Like everything's looking good, right? You're getting hit behind. Getting hit at the line 37% of the time, which is really good numbers. Then you go to the next 2 quarters versus Texas, and this is where you see. Okay, it's easy to see why Steve Sarkisian abandoned the run game. We're averaging negative 1.7 yards per attempt. Negative 1.7 yards per attempt with a 71.4% stuff rate. So it literally was, hey, we're going to ram our heads into the wall or we're going to pass the ball. And when you add on bad special teams errors were made, putting us on the 10 when we're already down big like that, it's just all these things that they compound and they make each other more emphasized.
Well, I'll say also, like Tej, with your comment that was put up there, like I don't think you were saying this exactly, but Sark called a good game the first, obviously the third quarter, the end of the third quarter and then the fourth quarter, stuff just got away from Texas. But the first drive was obviously awesome. And then the second, third, and fourth, there was the Andrews flat play was maybe not the move there. Probably went too fast on that play, trying to do your tempo thing. Otherwise, like it was player error. It was multiple drops on a drive. It was Arch Manning making 2 overthrows on 2 different drives. And then they went into the third quarter and they did have that long touchdown drive. Not quite long, 40 yards, but it was a touchdown drive. Helped by the PIs or whatever. But the things that Sark was calling were, in theory, working. He can't control that Ryan Wingo trips over himself at first contact, or DeAndre Moore and Gordon Washington are dropping the ball, or I'm a big
play fan one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, play one could have been bigger, and I'm a big fan of
touchdown.
But like the interception, you can call PI whatever, it was overthrown, and then that crosser to Moore on third down, really poorly overthrown. The touch is not there on those routes where it's going from his right arm over to the left side of the field. So, yeah, Sark's got his guys open. He's got his guys in spots. We knew the run game wasn't going to be awesome for Texas. It just feels worse that you see that they didn't run the ball more than 3 times in that span, and you see that they didn't score, and you go, oh, it's the run game that needed to be added. But I thought Sark was fine. It was just his players couldn't execute. That's, tail of the tape for the whole year.
No, I agree with you, man. He deserved to coach. He coached up some points in that first half that he didn't get. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He definitely deserved. That first drive we get 3 should have probably, in my opinion, had a chance at 7 there. Yeah. The Wingo drop was huge. Yeah. He has the angle, a really good chance to probably get inside the 5 there. Again, not great inside the 5-yard line over the last couple of seasons, but again, to have that opportunity, it hurt. That's the spot right there. I knew we'd probably regret that. In the end, I guess score-wise, it didn't matter. But if that's a tie game, we're still in it. Maybe the onside kick doesn't come. Maybe we're more prepared. Who knows? But yeah, there were, like you said, Evan, it was all self-inflicted in that first half. Everything was self-inflicted. It felt like, at least, you have drops, you have missed throws, you have penalties. And again, it just constant shooting yourself in the foot, so can't always, Sark can't go out there and make the throws. Sark can't go out there and have these guys not false starting or not committing holding penalties or able to throw a dig route, so you got to see all of it, have a broad perspective of it all, because it all definitely goes hand in hand. Obviously Sark's not going to look like a play caller when no one can catch the ball, when there's throws they're overthrown. Or when you have a penalty-prone offense, like nobody's going to look like a mad scientist or a genius as an OC. Nash, I feel like you're itching to go off. What you got?
This has been kind of one of my main gripes with our fans after this last game that we just had. The offense was not the issue. When the offense was on the field, we're actually outside the very end in the fourth quarter, when the game was it was pretty much out of reach. And it's like, maybe if we have a couple big plays, we might be able to get back into this thing. But man, it was a 10-14 ball game with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. The Georgia offense goes down the field and gets two fourth down conversions. I love Pete Kwiatkowski. Pete Kwiatkowski is my guy. I'm never going to I might put a shrine of him in my house one day. It was on the defense and Pete Kwiatkowski that we lost that game. You give up 35 points. This is when you're going on the road in a place like Georgia, right? Honestly, when you think about Georgia and Texas, what the brands of football that we've had over the last few years, you're really thinking a low-scoring, slugger, slugging game. Man, it did not feel like the offense was the problem at all, because the defense, they had that bad drive. Then you have the special teams error. Okay, well now defense, you can still stand up, you can still get a fourth down stop, and you can still say, hey, that onside kick doesn't matter anymore. Well, the defense let them score. It just, to me, as much as I would love. I've sat here and I banged my chest about how great our defense is. Elite defense, national championship defense over the last 3 years. We did not see championship level defense versus Georgia. And if we saw championship level defense, I think not only is that a game that we can edge out and go and win later on in the game, right? But at the very least, we're competitive. And it's just, I cannot blame the offense at all for that game.
You got to blame them somewhat, though, brother. I mean, in the first half there, and we've kind of got away from Georgia or Arkansas, Texas.
Yeah, right.
That's what we were just saying.
We're back into the therapy session.
Like, everything was kind of self-inflicted there, though. In the first half, you have holdings, you have drop passes, you have missed throws. Like Evan brought up the injuries.
I'm not going to blame Sark.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
The play calling. That's what I'm going to say.
And I will say this, look at this game. Our defense gave it 2 touchdowns to start it. All right, and then they turn around and have four straight punts and get a turnover. At some point, the offense got to help out. You got to help out. You have to. Yeah, they scored a touchdown, but then we see some undisciplined football. We see Texas get out schemed, which again, I'm not putting that on our staff. It's tough to stop people on 4th and 1 as it is, and Georgia dialed up a doozy there on 4th and 1. But the 4th and 4, the tempo, the jumping off sides, a lot of people like to say, okay, Texas is in the top 20. We still have a dang good defense. It's not the defense of last year. It's not probably a championship caliber defense. All right, so I still think they present some problems, for Taylon Green, for Marcel Reed going forward the next 2 weeks. But that's a loss where I think you've got to put equal blame on both sides of the ball, because the defense doesn't have a great first couple of drives, which again give Georgia credit. Feels like they kind of did the same thing anytime they needed anything in the passing game outside of the Humphreys touchdown over Gilbo, which is kind of frustrating to watch. But, they made the plays, and they made Gunnar Stockton's life really, really easy. So hopefully we don't see a scheme like we saw from Bobo this week with Petrino. I think they'll be a little bit more aggressive and push the ball downfield a little bit more. But yeah, if we can corral Taylon Green in the ground game, if you can't stop him on the ground, that, like you said, Nash, you fully weaponize that offense. Everything is unleashed. Now all of a sudden safeties are going to be more susceptible to fighting on the play action, and they're going to give up the shots down the seams.
Lube up.
If Texas were to lose this game, what went wrong? We'll go with you first, Nash.
What you just said, Taylon Green has a great day. I mean, if you hold Taylon Green in check, it's so hard for me to see the running backs going out there and having a great day, the wide receivers going out there and having a great day. This is not an Arkansas defense that's going to go out there and give you some, hey, we won a game 10-13, right? That's just not what they're going to do. This isn't the Arkansas team. Now that I said that, it's probably what's going to happen, right? But I think if we see Arkansas win, you saw a really good day from goodness gracious, Taylon Green. I almost called him March Manning.
Hey, real quick, thanks for the super chat, Joshy. We really appreciate that, brother. I've been meaning to bring it up for 5 minutes. Safe travels. I don't know what's good in Boston. It's nothing fun over there, but
nope, terrible city.
Go catch you a hockey game.
And I think it's about to start snowing up there too. Horrible.
Gotta be cold. Gotta be cold.
But yeah, Texas doesn't take care of the football.
I don't think that that game just cratered for Arkansas from the jump. Everybody has that type of day eventually in college football game where you just come out really, really flat. You get punched in the mouth. Obviously, Arkansas didn't have the firepower to rally versus a good Notre Dame team. But yeah, not really. I mean, he puts up numbers. You know what I mean? You saw what he did with A&M. You've seen him do it against some better defenses. But no, I can't remember outside of that game anybody really putting the cuffs on Taylon. But again, thanks for the super chat.
I mean, even then he had 158 yards rushing versus Notre Dame. So
yeah,
the only bad one was at LSU. He was pretty out of it in that game. He had a few turnovers and didn't throw the ball very well. But
was that before Witt got hurt?
175 yards in that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But that was just last week, I thought, or their last game, whatever that was.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. But I just said they look lifeless. I watched 2 quarters. Yeah.
Either way, I think it's almost inevitable that you're getting that Taylon Green escape artist because Texas had trouble setting the edge. I mean, that second play of the game against Stockton, McDonald completely missed that, which I misidentified at the time. I thought it was on Simmons, but they're going to have some lapses there. They're going to give up those seam shots. There's going to be that 40-yard tight end catch. How the hell did that happen? I think if Texas really loses this game, Nash already brought it up. They lose that turnover battle. I also think it's if they can't slow the game down, like I mentioned earlier, if they can't make this let's have 10 possessions each, and that's the max we're going at. But if we're getting more than that, the Longhorns are going to lose this game. So avoiding those quick punts, the 3 and outs, the 4 and outs, because Texas is I don't know where you can find a stat on that, but I feel like Texas is disproportionately really bad when it comes to first or second play first down, and then immediately after getting a 3 and out. In theory, they did get their first down, but you're still punting inside your own territory. So those have to stop. That's the key to the game for me. And you brought it up, Cord, getting to your 3rd and 4s, your 3rd and 3s, your 3rd and 2s, and winning against a bad defense, because this is a bad defense. I'm not scared to say that. It's just, yeah, I'm pretty. Cord, I know you're going to do your nervousness check. I'm pretty nervous about how this is going to go.
Well, I mean, when you've shown that you can be a bad offense and a little bit inept at times and beat yourself, then it doesn't matter what the defense looks like over there. If you're not catching a football, it doesn't matter how wide open you are or how bad the scheme might be on the other side. And I'm not knocking Chris Wilson, the interim DC for Washington. I'm just saying, and hypothetically, it doesn't matter. So I agree with you. I think Sark knows that this one's very important. I think he'll have a really good plan, especially early in this game. I think we see Texas score a little bit early on. But yeah, Evan, you said it, 1-10. How confident are you that Texas walks out of DKR with a win, picking up their 8th win of the season?
Give me a cool 6.8.
Wow, that's high. That's high for Evan.
It's high for me. Arkansas isn't good. Let's first start with that. They aren't a good team. I know it's not a real 2-8. It's more like a 4-6 team. Either way, you're at home against a team that has a bad defense and good offense, but how far can that go? Texas really, really needs this. I think Sark is hammering home that they really, really need this. So I'm going to be terrible during the game. I'm going to be so unconfident. You'll see it on my Twitter. But at 4 quarters full, I do think that Texas wins this a good few times out of 100. It's going to be nerve-wracking the whole time.
Well, what's your score prediction?
I said 38-28 for a roundtable. Little spoiler. So I think Texas keeps it outside of a one-score game. I don't know what the spread is, but probably I assume it's within 8. So win that.
Okay. How about you, Nash? 1 through 10. What's your confidence level, and then what's your score prediction for this one?
My confidence level is at probably, I'd say an 8. I am genuinely surprised that Evan, as a younger kid, younger guy, didn't go 6'7", do one of those things. Missed it with a 6'8", right there. I'm going 8.0. I had an 8.5 confidence level last week versus Georgia. Was feeling pretty confident towards the end of the third quarter, but then fourth quarter, that wiped away a lot of that. Score prediction, so I'm hoping it doesn't go the way that Georgia did, but with my confidence level. But score prediction, I actually do think that Texas I think we keep, unlike y'all, I think we keep Taylor Green in check. I think this defense kind of has like a pride day. I don't know. I've probably been saying. I think I've been saying this last 3 weeks in a row. So bound to get it right once here. 31-13. I think that Texas. We go out there. Arkansas. They, like you said, Evan. They don't have a good defense. I just think this comes down to how inspired does our defense go out there and play. And I also do think that it comes down. It's the Jimmies and the Joes. And I mean, when you got yourself a Jimmy out there wearing number 1, he's going to be able to stop a guy like a Taylor Green a lot more effectively than some of these other dudes do. I mean, there's a reason why Colin Simmons is probably going to be a top 5 overall pick in next year's draft.
You know, I think I'm probably in between you two. Nash, what'd you say, an 8, 8.5?
8.
All right.
8.0.
You know what? Write me down for an 8 as well. I don't know if I've matched you in confidence level, but that's probably bad. I think the crowd will be fine. I think that it's still a group of fans that have not seen Texas play football at home very often. Feels like this season, but obviously since September. I know Steve. There's a lot of heat around Steve right now. I know he's not on Steve, but just his name's it's been discussed a little bit. You still have Arch, who's playing really, really good football. You have a Texas ground attack that should be a little bit more effective. But you look at the defensive side, the pass rush is probably going to be the best one that Taylor Green's seen this year. It seems like he turns the ball over against almost whoever he plays. And again, he's a great athlete, but it is what it is. He turns the ball over. And so, I think that Texas, wins the turnover battle. I think he limits the explosive some. I do think Arkansas is going to score a little bit more than 27-17. Ryan might be, I don't know if they get to 31. I do feel like Arkansas puts up a few points, but I'm going to go ahead and say that Texas finds a way to hit the 38 point mark. Feels like 100. 38 points as well. I'm going to agree with you, Ryan. I'm going to go 38-28. I think that Arkansas, they also have to get up from a big time and emotional game with LSU, as Evan just said. Agreed. Everything needs to eat, man. We got to help this defense out a little bit. Defense has to do their part, limit the big plays, the explosive plays. We've conceded some, but man, I'll have my eye on the penalties on offense because Arkansas is they're gonna give up some points and yards, but can we make them pay? Can we make maximum punishment in this football game? Don't help them out. No fluky turnovers. No horrible schemes on 3rd and short, or giving a drive away with a flea flicker pass or a halfback pass, or nothing like that. All right, just handle business, Texas. Get things done. I expect it though. Like I said, I got 38-28. Evan had it a little bit closer. Nash pretty big 31-13. Like you said, you have said that two maybe 3 weeks in a row. Maybe it happens. I know you had to be smiling in the beginning of Vanderbilt, Nash. I was thinking about you. I was like, Nash got on here and said he thought Texas was due for a big one here.
Dude, I was so ready. I was so ready to victory lap. And then the fourth quarter happened. I'm like, what the hell?
You're 75% right. We'll give you 3/4 of a hat tip on that one.
I will say the last time that I think you and I were on the same page with confidence level was when we went to Oklahoma. So possible good vibes here. Possible
Good vibes. Good vibes.
And we'll say real quick
Also,
to our
horrible-
friend John. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you are the type that likes to partake in the drinking of the alcoholic beverages, potentially life-threatening game for a drinking game would be taking a shot every time that Texas and Arkansas get a penalty flag, because there will be a lot. There will be a
Oh,
lot.
thank you.
Some liver damage right there.
Literally,
Even
like
that-
both 132 ranked in the nation.
Jeez.
Say
For
even A&M picks up a lot.
Yeah,
of
no,
penalties
it's
as
not
well.
good. It's not good. It's
So,
going to be a lot of penalties these next 2 weeks. So
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know that everybody was saying it was Texas had a good chance if they won 2 of 3. I'll say this though, things, for one, I think a road win at Georgia holds more weight than a home win against A&M. I think Georgia is the better of those two football teams. Now, at the same time, Texas needed things to go their way and other results. And with Oklahoma beating Alabama, that throws a little bit of a wrench in everything. There's still a path, you know what I mean? Like you're saying, I agree with you. There still is a path. Oregon needs to beat USC. We need Ohio State to beat Michigan. We need somehow BYU to lose again. They got Cincinnati this week on the road. That is possible.
Missouri beating Oklahoma would be big.
Yeah.
Missouri beating Oklahoma would be like mainlining drugs. I've never done it, but I'm
The
assuming.
Cuse are taking down Notre Dame. Look at
Yeah.
I actually do think I don't want to go down too much of a rabbit hole here, but I actually do think that Oregon, if USC beats Oregon,
there's gonna be some weird discussions.
Well, I actually do think that there's a legit chance that a 2-loss Oregon doesn't make it over some of these 3-loss teams. That would be in the mix, because Oregon, I mean, they really, dude. If you look at it, if they lose to USC, they're the only 2 games, unless Iowa makes it back into the college football playoff rankings, they don't have a single ranked win. All their ranked games are losses. I just not looking like a strong resume.
I agree with you. I mean, the Big Ten.
They need that
the Big Ten resumes overall are pretty mundane,
really
if
weak,
you will.
really weak.
Well, yeah, I kind of thought Texas really needed to be in the top 15. There's just so many things that would probably need to happen, or maybe you go blow out in A&M. I agree. I think Texas is capable of winning and beating A&M and ending that perfect season that they have.
I think we need clean football. We need to, at this point, Texas, and this has been the problem with Texas all year long. This is why we have 3 losses on our schedule. Is we haven't seen a complete game yet all year long. I have not seen one game where every single aspect of our team was firing on all cylinders. And I think that's kind of all like the miss. Like I honestly do believe that if we saw like a Texas firing on all cylinders, then maybe we are in that 15 range. I think that we're in the like I said earlier, we're on the mat. We're life support right now. There still is that chance that Texas has that gets a playoff berth, but man, Texas needs to go out there, and we need. Part of me predicting 31-13 is me just kind of hoping that we get it, hoping that we get the clean game from our versus Arkansas. But we need to look good versus Arkansas and A&M to have at least have an argument for the eye test.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got to show the committee something. Like, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on that A&M game. And yeah, BYU does win the Big 12. Obviously, they are automatic. Tech probably still gets in at 11-2.
No, Tech gets in.
Yeah, they've been pretty dominant for most of the stretch of that schedule. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, man, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. You're looking at that's basically as bad a result as you could have from this season. Texas Tech, A&M, Oklahoma, and hell, we'll throw North Texas as Chris did in there. That sucks. There's no way around that. Like, that is not fun for any of us. You got to watch and listen to all this on social media. You got to be worried about the future of our own program, but now think, oh, they're on the way up. So you got to pay even more attention to their program. I know a lot of us were laughing Oklahoma off, in the last couple of years. Yeah, playing for pride, possibly. It might be. Ohio State had 2 losses. Ohio State, whether it's their second loss of the season, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe it was their second loss of the season. Here's the thing with A&M, and I'll say this, is that they're so explosive, is that even though when Reed is mediocre or inefficient, when they connect, man, they really hit on big plays. And they're good in special teams, and so Concepcion sets them up in the return game a lot. And so, and then they're opportunistic on defense. They create short fields at times. So that offense gets some help. But yeah, I mean, you can get to Marcel Reed. South Carolina just, even when they were creating turnover, like it was A&M just having terrible pass protection or Marcel just being a goofball. I
Or the wide
definitely
receivers just not. Hey, we had
not catching the ball.
We had a good bowl of popcorn on the sidelines just before this drive, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. Ohio State did have 2 losses.
Yeah, 2 losses.
Yep. Go
Yeah,
Blue.
and
They all, dude, they were close. They had, if y'all remember last year, they had that game versus Nebraska, where like they were losing that game, and then they had like a last second drive where they were like, okay, hey, and that kept them
Block
alive.
in.
Which is crazy to think that in this era, I think you're going to see a lot more teams that like, it's like, hey, these teams are dead in the water halfway through the season, and then you look up and they're national champions. It's like this is going to be this. Evan, well, you follow baseball too. This is going to be a lot like Omaha, where it's kind of almost like a crapshoot. Just get in the tournament, and we'll see how it plays out.
I honestly feel like there are more teams capable of winning a title this year than there has been maybe in my entire life. Like I genuinely mean that. I can think of years where maybe there's a handful of teams, maybe 5, 6 tops, that you really expected that pool of contenders to come from, or eventually the champion to come from. Yeah, Klein is really good. A&M's got, in my opinion, still question marks because I agree. I'm not sitting here saying they're not worthy of a top rankings or winning team or winning games, and they've blown out a lot of teams. But man, they looked really, really bad in the beginning of that one last week. Ohio State, they did. Wouldn't be shocker, man. They've been pretty dang strong. Georgia seems to be peaking. But again, you got to turn around and do this 3, possibly 4 straight weeks for some of these teams. Getting that SEC title game and getting a bye. I know teams last year were terrible that got the bye in the first round. But I just covet and cherish that bye so very much, because you're talking about playing 4 weeks against really good competition. I'm not trying to line up and do that. I'm sorry. I got to find my reps elsewhere.
I think we're actually going to see some really good data on this in the like moving forward, especially with this year. Last year, you saw every team that had a bye lost. So yeah. I'm kind of like I'm honestly of the opinion that if we keep seeing teams in the bye games lose, I don't want to bye. I want that first round playoff game at home, get some juice, get back into the swing of things, and then you're playing a team that hasn't played football in 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think that there might be a certain aspect of that.
Well, wasn't the 2 seed last year Georgia in the bye?
Yeah, they lost the bye.
So I mean, like it's two bad teams, a team with a backup quarterback, and then Oregon lost to the best team in the country. So it's like,
last year was different.
Yeah,
from how they operated, because like this year they're just giving us. And honestly, this is like part of the reason why we went. Us being a first round team, they're like, yeah, let's get this stuff changed up for next year. And honestly, this is kind of where we're at right now in the college football playoff. We're kind of just testing things out year by year, add on something, maybe take something away. Right? We're feeling our way to the right college football playoff. We're just gonna have to figure it out as we go.
Yeah, that there will be shuffling around, and if the bye teams continue to struggle, and if it was another tough year. By 2 or 3 years of that, they would make amendments. They'd probably get rid of the bye week. Coaches would start saying, well, you see, it's obviously, a disadvantage to get a bye, and so it's like our teams, trying to punt their conference championship game. They're just not that, not that would actually happen. But, there will be conversation.
Take these, just run clock the entire game.
Yeah, Georgia and Bama saying,
on your scout team.
We've got enough of these trophies. You take it. But no, man,
I would love to see a coach. I was just saying, I would love to see like us get to a point where the conference championships are so devalued, and then you got a coach that sends out all the scout team out there, and then he sits there in the press conference, just sitting there going, yeah, say something about me playing. Say something about me playing these guys that don't get to play. Say something about it, right? See if I don't have a good answer.
One last thing, I will say, I do like this idea. Give me a 1 week break after conference championships, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. It's starting to get stretchy there. Give me a little bit of a break, and then maybe have another break between the quarterfinals, a 1 week break or bye, if you will, between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. Because you have Christmas, you have the holidays and everything, and you know what I mean. Like, These dudes are people too. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. Again, Nash has said it perfectly. We're working towards the perfect playoff. It'll never get there. There is no such thing. But
if they make it a 2014 playoff, dude, oh my god, it's like, look, as a Texas fan that's likely out of the playoff, I can confidently tell you, College Football Playoff Committee, we do not want a 2014 playoff. Like, it's already a crapshoot.
we can answer this quickly and we'll get y'all out of here. But I do appreciate all the comments. Y'all having a good time, making it fun for us. But throw a quick like on this video, please. Do that for us. But we've been asked over under 15 portal takes this offseason. I am going to go under, but probably a little closer than I would have thought coming into the season.
The only way it's over is if they get some really bad losses in the portal. Like there's a few guys where you can maybe see it and be like, that's replaceable. But I'm like talking real important players, starters, multiple of them. That's the only way they get to 15. That's a lot of players. That's a lot of 15 out of, your main 80 or really 70 players that really show up if you're going to take 15 guys. That's a lot of dudes to get into your culture. Yeah,
you have some brand new coaches at schools that were having to, build their roster through the portal, and they were only taking around, that number, maybe just a little bit more. But what do you think, Nash?
I think that if you're taking 15 players, you're taking too much, and you're getting to a Mike Norvell level roster where you're going to end up, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? You're going to have to pay the piper at some point, right? And it's just one of those deals where I think that you're just running away from problems, which is a lot in recruiting. But I see at most us taking 4 offensive linemen in the portal. At most, I mean, because you're only going to be able to sell starting level playing time for 3 of the guys. You got Baker and Gooseby on the ends. You got and then depending on how I don't know what the hell's going on with Neto, but depending on what happens with Neto, maybe I don't know. That's a tough one to go on that one. But so you got 3 right there. Wide receivers. I mean, we got a lot of young wide receivers that I think are going to come in. Like you got Dalen McCutcheon, who's easily one of the top targets for these young wide receivers to step up and fill any roles that might leave. Tight end. I mean, I'd be interested to see what happens with injuries, because injuries, I thought coming into this year, it's a one and done and he's out. But like, I mean, it's just going to come down to how much the NFL actually valued him before he came to Texas. But I do think that there's still also enough value for him to go on that one. It's hard for me to see us taking, more than 6 guys on the portal on the offensive side. And I'm talking like legit starters that you would actually see play. And then on the defensive side, I know I've seen some people say like, you want to get the defensive backfield, maybe go for cornerback, but I mean, safety, I'm not worried at all about our safety depth coming up in the next few years. So I'm way under that 15 portal.
We can have another whole episode about it, but we need a safety in the portal. We have to have a safety in the portal. That's just my opinion. And you and I can get into that
right now.
I think we got a good center fielder playing safety.
That's my number 2, Evan. I've got 11 on the dot. We'll have to share position groups and numbers and see how much we compare.
It'll be a good thought. Give us some time to think about it.
Yeah. 2 weeks we can write about that once they're out of the playoff.
Again, you got it.
Whoa. Out of the playoff. We're alive. We're alive, Evan.
Yeah, we're alive.
I didn't know if you were reacting to that or Chris's comment or question, but again, we got to be sensitive. It's not inside Texas reporting that anything is coming, but I think that myself and then some others might feel that there's inevitably a few things coming, maybe a thing or two. So, and again, not that that's all quiet news, but not going to specifically reference names or what I predict to happen or what these guys predict to happen or anything like that. But yeah, changes will be made. I think again, there's got to be a look in the mirror about how these things have come afoot, how the season, again, as much as we gave Sark props for his comments in the last couple of days, I didn't agree with the comment, when he was asked if we were underachieving, I didn't like how that conversation went. Just because, hey, this is, you're spending this much money on this roster. Like, some of these issues are coaching, some are players and execution. But again, you got to take a look in the mirror, figure out exactly how it happened and why it happened and what to do about it. So won't get into.
I was just going to add, especially when the horse himself says we have national championship expectations at SEC.
Yeah, right.
The standard is the standard, right? Until it's not.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
standard is the standard. Chris, you didn't put us on the spot, man. I'm always happy to answer any questions you got, my man. And we love having you here. And so, again, we'll say as much as we can at all times. But yeah, throw a like on the video. Appreciate the compliment there, John. Thanks for all of your comments in the section. Thank you to all you guys. Y'all been a fun group tonight. Probably the most active chat for a Thursday night show that we've had. Y'all. And so we really do appreciate you guys. Good for the Texans. I'm not an NFL guy at all. Know everybody, know the teams, but too much emotion is poured out on Saturdays to care about what's going on Sundays. So, I am glad that you have, are having a good night with them. One last thing. Anthony Hill is officially listed as questionable. So that was yesterday, same today. Who knows? Sure, we'll keep an eye out for any news regarding Anthony tomorrow. Find that on InsideTexas.com, and I'm sure they'll be reporting that over here. So yeah, go take advantage of that flash sale. Sorry, I'm melting down the stretch. Take advantage of that $1 for a subscription over at Inside Texas, guys. But really appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. You all have a good rest of your evening, and for you that have already started your weekend, man, have a great weekend as well. We'll talk to y'all soon.